excited to share with you a doll makeover. But it's not a Monster High makeover, it's not an Ever After High makeover, it's a Blythe doll makeover. I'm so excited to share it with you. I actually received this doll a couple years ago, but I kept her as is for a really long time. And actually you guys can see what she originally looked like in one of my first ever videos for BunnieDIY. It was my Barbie clothes unboxing, kind of surprise unboxing, and I dressed up the Blythe doll in those clothes. So you can kind of see what she originally looked like. But I got her for the specific purpose of giving her a complete makeover. So, during quarantine, I decided to try my hand at carving her face. And because it was my first time ever carving a Blythe doll, I decided to not film it as a process. I was gonna just kind of keep it as like a hobby of mine. And I completely destroyed her face. You can actually see those progress pictures in my Instagram, which I'll share with you, at BunnieDIY. It was not pretty. But I did take her eye mechanism out and give her some new eyes, which you can also see on my Instagram, but I'll show you later during the makeover process. So the carving of her face went so horribly that I ended up having to kind of re-sculpt her mouth and her teeth, yes, even teeth, to try and fix my huge mistake. And then to try and cover up kind of the etching that was in her face from my Dremel tool, I coated her in a white spray paint sealant, so now she has a completely white face. It does not match the rest of her body at all. Because of the white spray paint sealant, I decided that instead of trying to give her kind of a normal face up like I would normally do with my other dolls, I decided to completely paint her faceplate with acrylic paint. So that's what this video is of. And I decided to theme her like an ice cream parlor. So she's going to have a big kind of ice cream cone fastener on the side, and she's gonna have ice cream dripping down her face. And I gave her a cute little dress with some pom-poms on it, nice and simple, and she came out so amazing. I'm so excited to share her with you guys. So without further ado, let's jump on in. Here is her white face. As I mentioned, I tried carving her, and I'm afraid that I failed miserably. So I used some epoxy sculpt to mold her teeth and lips. Yes, those were completely gone by the time I was done butchering her with my Dremel tool. To cover up the marks left by my Dremel and sandpaper and white epoxy sculpt, I coated her in a white sealant spray paint, which actually made for a really good base to work off of. If you don't mind a super white face. Now on with the face up. I'll put a link to everything I use below. I like to use Munyo rolled pastels. To give her some life, I brushed on some pastels in pinks and browns to her lips and nose. Then I used a lighter shade of yellows and browns for the rest of her face. I also took the eye mechanism and drew a line across the eyelid so I knew where the eyeshadow should be. I also took this time to buff the eye mechanism with a sanding block. This way it'll be easier to color later. Alright, she's looking pretty good with blushing, so I'm going to move on to the watercolor pencils. I use Arteza and I love them. The pigment and coverage is amazing. Her face up is going to be pretty simple, but also have bold colors. In the end, I want her to look like she has ice cream dripping down her face. So to get started, I used my purple to sketch a light, wavy, drippy shape onto the top of her forehead. Then I did the same with a cream color and a hot pink color. I also cleaned up her nose a little with a kneaded eraser. The blushing kind of collected in the scratches from my Dremel tool, so the eraser helped to buff those out. As far as the ice cream drips go, I worked on these for a little bit, kind of playing around with the placement of the ice cream and the shape of the drips. I kept all of my lines really light, but I didn't mind getting messy since this is going to be covered with paint anyway. Next, I mixed up some pastel paint colors for the ice cream. I used a cream color instead of white so it's not blinding, especially in contrast to the pink and purple. And I added a drop of that same cream to the pink and purple to lighten them up. Then I painted on 3 coats of each color, being really careful to go on top of the pencil line but not too far over. I didn't want to accidentally make the shapes bigger than they were. And using a toothpick, I added some white to her teeth. Ooh, she looks so awesome! After the paint was dry, I added some finer details with a light brown watercolor pencil. I added some shadows to her nostrils and the corners of her mouth. I also shaded her top and bottom lip a little to add some definition to her lip creases and shadows. I also added a super faint shadow to her chin and nose and buffed those a little with my finger. Next, I used a really light cream-colored pencil and added some highlight to the top of her lip. Then I wiped away the excess with my eraser. Using that same color, I defined the eye creases. Next, I used some Munyo rolled pastels in a light purple-gray color to mark her eyebrows. I kept the eyebrow under the ice cream lighter and the visible eyebrow darker. I also used some red and pink pastels for shading around her nose and mouth. I used those same shades for the inside of her eye near her tear duct and waterline. Then I used a lighter brown pastel for the outer corners and the top of her eyes. I used my purple, cream, and white pencils to add definition to the eyebrow by creating sharp lines and highlights for the little hairs. And I cleaned it up with my eraser. She looks so awesome! I added some more blush to the visible skin of her face, then made the eye creases a little darker with my brown pencil. I started to very slowly add the details to the eyes, like the tear duct and waterline, which I then colored in with my cream pencil. I sharpened my brown pencil and began to draw little eyelashes onto her eyes. I focused the most on the bottom and outer corners since her eye mechanism already has eyelashes for the top. Eyelashes are really hard for me to draw, but I'm always determined to draw them anyway. I'll only get better if I practice, right? So I can't avoid them. I am really super proud of her, guys. But she's still missing something. Duh! Ice cream is shiny and dimensional, not flat matte like this. So I got some pure white paint on my dotting tool and added some blobby shines to her ice cream. And it looks so adorable on her nose. Yes! Before I added any shadows to the ice cream, I decided to paint her lips. An ice cream wouldn't be complete without a cherry on top, so I painted the center of her lips bright red and added 2 little shines. Then, using a toothpick, I added shadows to the ice cream. I used the original colors of the ice cream, but did not mix them with cream, so that they'd come out a nice dark contrast to the pastel. And I made sure to apply the shadow to the opposite side of the shines, to hopefully achieve that 3D look. I did mix up a tiny bit of gray into the cream to make it darker. Her face-up is almost done, but she's missing my favorite ice cream topping. I need pink, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple because I'm painting on sprinkles! I took her outside and sprayed her with MSC. Can you believe I only needed 1 coat in this entire process? Usually it takes 3 or 4. Now her eyes were super easy. I painted the entire eyelid this really pretty sky blue, and then covered them in little round sprinkles. And finished it with a nice winged black eyeliner. I already sealed her with some MSC, but I wanted her ice cream to be super shiny and glossy. So I sealed just the ice cream with my DuraClear High Gloss Varnish. I usually mix this with a tiny bit of water. I also painted a little bit onto her eyes to help protect the paint when they open and close. Now that her face up is done, it's time to get her eye mechanism back into her head. I completely took her apart off camera months ago when I started the carving catastrophe. So I'll put a link below and in the iCard that gives a more detailed look at how to disassemble a Blythe. But I will show you here how to put them back together. First, the entire piece snaps back into 2 little holes at the back of the head. This is really tricky to do because you don't want to crack anything, but I think the best way is to line it up on one side and then use a small screwdriver to snap the other piece in place. Now that it's in place, we can stop to admire just how freaking amazing these eyes look! I think the Blythe doll's most noticeable features are their eyes. They open and close with a spring, which also changes the eye color and positions. I changed these eye chips a long time ago using pre-printed patterns and UV resin. I purchased the eye patterns on Etsy, so I'll leave a link below to those. I did sort of doctor up the eye patterns though with glitter and mica powder to give them this shimmery look. I just can't. I love her so much, oh my gosh. I'm so happy I finally created a doll on here that is mine to keep. I love her so much. I am in total shock at how nice she looks since this was a huge experiment and she had a really rough start. I love her! Before moving on with the assembly, I need to make 2 little pull strings that will attach to her eye mechanism to make them open and close. I already made one using pom-poms, beads, fishing line, and a lobster claw clasp. Try saying that 5 times fast. Lobster claw clasp, lobster claw clasp, lobster claw clasp. Normally, you would only need 1 for a Blythe, since the mechanism is on a spring. However, I removed the spring so that I can control how far her eyelids open. So that means I need to make another pull string. To do this, I threaded some fishing line through my needle, and then passed my needle through a small pom-pom, then a larger pom-pom, then through a bead, and back up through the pom-poms. The small bead will help prevent the pom-poms from coming off of the fishing line. To make it extra sturdy, I added a small dot of hot glue in between the 2 pom-poms. Then I threaded another bead through both strings and hot glued it to the smaller pom-pom. Then to finish, I attached a lobster clasp to the end and secured it with a super small dot of hot glue. My goodness, that was a lot of pom-poms and hot glues. Now that the pull strings are done, I can finish reassembling the head. I'm not sure I can adequately explain what I'm doing, so watch closely. This small white piece needs to be screwed into this small spot in between the eyes and next to the white curved part. It does snap into a specific position with the eye mechanism. It's what the eye mechanism clicks into when the eyes rotate, and it stops on the different colors. Next, I added these 2 little cell phone straps to the 2 positions that control the rotation. The first attaches to the top near the white curved part. There is a little hole in the mechanism for that strap to feed through. You can see how when it pulls down, the eyes move. I like these cell phone straps because they're thin, strong, and they have little jump rings attached, which makes it easier to attach to the doll and to the custom pull strings. The next place for a strap is super small, so I removed the metal clasp of the cell phone strap to make it smaller. It's perfect too because it already has a small knot on one side, so it won't pass all the way through the hole. To make it fit, I threaded a piece of thread through the cell phone strap, and then through the hole at the bottom of this mechanism. Then I pulled the whole thing through to fit. the back of the head should look like this. Now, originally, my Blythe came with this gorgeous head of hair, but I decided it was too mermaid-y for my ice cream girl. So I detached it from the skull with an X-Acto knife. I have to be honest, I don't know if this was really the correct method, but I had a really hard time finding a good explanation on how to change Blythe hair, so she had to go under the knife. But the hair is actually in perfect shape, and I didn't jeopardize the stitches at all, so I'm pretty confident I can use this hair on another Blythe in the future. When I can afford another Blythe, that is. So to finish putting her back together, I needed to add this bigger screw right at the top. The scalp sort of snaps onto the faceplate and slides into the screw, which, when tightened, holds it in place. Now, before I can fully attach the back of the head and the body, I need to feed the pull strings through the 2 small holes at the back of the head. I used my adorable llama pillow as a soft barrier between my desk and her gorgeous face.
Ooh, just look at the little face. Ugh.
I fed the strings through the 2 holes, and then I attached 2 small jump rings to help keep them in place so they wouldn't fall back through. This is super tricky, but go slow, stay patient, and it'll work. Now see the pull strings in action. I can control where her eyes go and how far her eyelids open with the 2 strings. I am seriously in love. I know I keep saying this, but I am. The whole time filming this, I just kept stopping in the middle of what I was doing to admire her. I am just in such a state of shock at how nice she is looking. Now, the reason I attached lobster claws to my pull strings was so they can easily attach to the cell phone straps in her head. Now I can change the pull strings to match her outfits. Okay, the time has come to finally reunite her head with her body. This is pretty straightforward. The head fits onto the neck peg by a little notch. Then the back of the head and faceplate need to be very gently squeezed back together until they snap into place. And finally, the 3 screws can be added to secure everything. Now that her face is done, it's time to make her clothes. I used white cotton fabric, rainbow tulle, and pastel pom-poms to create this super adorable summer dress. I got the pattern from Requiem Arts. I'll leave the link to her Etsy store below. I had a hard time coming up with a design for a dress, but I saw some amazing couture dresses with pom-poms and got really inspired. I also used these little flats that came in a Barbie clothing set and added 2 little pom-poms to the toes. They kind of remind me of Tinkerbell's shoes. Her biggest accessory is an ice cream cone on top of her head. I started with a triangle-shaped piece of felt and painted on some lines with brown puffy paint. Then, once that was dry, I added some hot glue to one edge and rolled it into a cone shape. I used some yarn scraps, all left over from doll wigs, and stuffed those into the cone so it would hold its shape. And I got really lucky because I had some leftover yarn that was the exact same shade of purple as her ice cream. So I brushed that out and formed it into a sorta kinda disc shape. Then I applied hot glue to the inside of the cone and pressed it onto the purple yarn. I'm sure there's a much better way to have done this, but hey, it works. I also added some more hot glue around the edge of the cone and pressed some of the yarn fluff onto that, so it really looked like the ice cream was coming up and around the cone when it spilled. Now it's finally time to give her her new hair. I actually ordered a beautiful yarn wig from Lost in a Haystack on Etsy. They make custom wigs for a bunch of different sizes of ball-jointed dolls, but I didn't see any for Blythe. I love their wigs so much that I decided to reach out to them, and wouldn't you know it, they were in the process of designing wigs for Blythes anyway. So they sent me an extra wig to try on my Blythe and to give some feedback. And can I just say, I love these wigs. The first one is this gorgeous teal, purple, and fuchsia wig.
I love this one because they included all of these extra beads and clips for it. Plus, it's really sturdy, and I can tell the wefts were glued really nicely. I think sometimes wigs look or feel rushed, but I can tell this one is fantastic quality. I can even brush it out lightly with my doll comb, and I don't lose any fiber. As much as I love this wig, it was a little too bright for her face up, so I decided to go with the other wig that was sent to me. It is amazing. Look at it! Oh my gosh! It's a Decora girl's dream. It's braided in the back, has these adorable star beads on the front, and a ton of super cute hair clips and accessories that are all handmade. Like, look at this 4-leaf clover! It's so cute! Plus, the colors are absolutely perfect for my ice cream girl. Yes, ma'am! The only downside is that all of that Decora goodness just doesn't work with my girl's aesthetic. So, I made the really hard decision to remove all of the adorable clips and accessories and to restyle the wig. I'm so bummed I couldn't leave it as is. Welcome to a brand new, never before seen camera angle. I laid her down in my lap so I could twist her bangs up and secured them with 2 of the clips that were sent with the wig. I got her dressed and stood her up to get a better look. But I think her hair looks super cute styled straight like this, but I felt like it was missing something. So I took my metal chopstick and my hair straightener and went to town giving her tiny little ringlet curls. All I did was heat up the chopstick with my hair straightener and then wound the yarn around my chopstick to give her cute little curls. And again, I can tell that the creator of this wig spent a lot of time and energy on it. All of the yarn was easy to separate into small pieces, and even took the heat from my flat iron without melting at all. It's styled super easy.
Here she is, all finished. Look at how stinking cute she is. Oh my gosh. I love her so much. Now all she needs is a photo shoot.
I'm so proud of her. I've never repainted a Blythe before, and I'm so happy that I took the chance to just go for it. While I'm sorry I couldn't show you the whole process of taking her apart and carving her face, trust me, you did not miss much. The carving was such a huge fail that it wasn't worth sharing with all of you. Similarly, I decided not to show you how I made the dress, since the pattern is really simple and the pom-poms are just glued on. However, if this is something you would have liked to have seen, then please let me know in the comments and I will make a full tutorial for this dress. I mainly wanted to focus on her face up and hair for this video. I hope you guys like her. I think I may turn this into an ice cream parlor series with more Blythes and different flavors. Is that something you'd like to see? Like mint chocolate chip or rocky road or cookies and cream. I have a really good idea with cookies and cream. Is that something you'd like to see? Let me know in the comments. And if you can get this video to, I don't know, 30 likes? 30 likes? That's not that high of a number. 30? If you can get this video to 30 likes, then I'll make another Blythe ice cream girl just for you guys. Share this video with any of your friends that love doll customizations and crafts as much as we do. I've been floating around 470 subscribers for too long, and I'd really love to hit 500 by my birthday. It's April 3rd, by the way. If you like this video and you want to see more, then make sure you subscribe. You can click the little bell to get notified of when I post. I upload videos every Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. I seriously appreciate all of you. You give me the drive to keep creating. Love you a latte.